What's up, guys? Welcome to Combat Athlete Physio, where we take human movement science and we bring it to the combat sports. For those of you who watched the second Craig Jones Invitational, you know there were a lot of differences from the first, but most notably there were two controversial submissions. One was the outside heel hook that Taylor Pierman put on Giancarlo Bodoni, and the second was a straight ankle lock from Bilal Etiabari against Gio Martinez. So we're going to go through both of these, analyze some of the anatomy and biomechanics behind some of the submissions, and then give us a much closer look at whether these two tapped. So as promised, the first submission we're going to look at is Taylor Pierman, the outside heel hook against Bodoni. Okay, so for those of you who are maybe new to submission grappling or jiu-jitsu, a leg lock is really just where you take, one opponent takes control of the other person's leg and tries to apply some sort of braking mechanic to that leg. So here, Taylor Pierman has got control of Bodoni's leg, and he's trying to take his heel and twist it and create some torque at the knee to cause a submission. Okay, so what he's doing specifically, let's dive into the biomechanics, is called an outside heel hook. So he's got a grip on the outside of the heel, or the outside of his body. He's gripping the heel, and he's using his body to rotate and create that torque at the knee. That movement is called tibial internal rotation. So the two bones that make the knee joint are the femur and the tibia. And there are some ligaments inside that knee that hold it together. Tibial internal rotation puts a ton of tension, particularly at this angle. It's around anywhere from 0 to 30 degrees, particularly that posterior bundle of a very popular ligament called the ACL. So the ACL is responsible for checking or stopping excessive internal rotation of the tibia. And so you could tell that grip that he has on his heel as he rotates it inward puts a ton of stress on the ACL. Okay, so now let's move to the really controversial part. Did Bodoni tap? Okay, so a tap is typically 2 or 3 taps on the person's body or on the mat, or even you saying verbally tap, 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 because somebody has essentially gotten the best of you. You don't want your leg to break in this situation. You don't want your arm to break. You don't want to get choked and lose consciousness. So you would tap to end the row or to end the match in this case. So a typical line of defense may be to put your hand where Bodoni has his hand right now to try to clear the leg or the knee line and get himself out of the submission. The problem is, before going down and moving towards the shin, which is a typical defense for a leg lock, he touches his thigh. And I really don't know of any other reason for your hand to be there other than to tap. Now, there's only one, and it really doesn't look like Bodoni's in a lot of danger here. So, I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about this one, but that is where the controversy is whenever it comes to the tap. But those are the mechanics of an outside heel hook, that tibial internal rotation, typically putting a ton of stress on the ACL and some of the other ligaments in the knee, causing the tap. Okay, so this submission is a little less controversial. Okay, you can already tell kind of what we're getting at here. That already looks like multiple touches to the leg there. However, this does show the mechanics of a straight ankle lock pretty well, particularly the belly down for the finisher here. Okay, so right now Etiabari has him in what's called a straight ankle lock, and this is just pulling the ankle down into a position called plantar flexion. Okay, forceful plantar flexion, and they've even got some inversion in there. So let's go over plantar flexion first. What structures are being put under tension in ankle plantar flexion in this hyperplantar flex position? Well, there are a couple of muscles that run down the front of the leg called the anterior tibialis. You've also got the extensor digitorum, and you've also got extensor hallucis longus that runs all the way to the big toe. You've also got the deep fibular nerve that runs through that anterior compartment of the shin and then crosses the top of the ankle. So even though there would be a little bit more tension on it if the knee weren't bent, even though the knee is bent, that nerve is still being put on a fair amount of tension. Now, what adds to this is this ankle inversion component. And if you don't understand what inversion or plantar flexion, or you want to just learn more about it, I actually have a biomechanics course that's all the way released now that goes through the foundational principles of each joint, what a plane of motion is, what the axis of rotation are, and different motions at each joint. So if you want to learn more, go and check out that. It'll be linked in the description. Inversion is just bringing your foot in. And so what that does is that it puts a lot of tension on the tendons and the muscles on the outside of the leg as well. So you have the fibularis longus and brevis that cross the outside of the ankle. You also have a ligament, one that's typically involved whenever you roll your ankle to the outside, inversion ankle sprain, called the anterior talofibular ligament. And it's intended to stop excessive, very much like the ACL is intended to check or stop excessive tibial internal rotation. This is meant to stop excessive inversion at the talocrural joint, or where that big bone, the tibia, meets the talus to create the ankle joint. Those are some of the anatomical structures and some of the biomechanics behind what happens during a straight ankle lock that looks like this. Okay, it ends up it ends up actually feeling a little more like a toe hold and a straight ankle lock combined, but they're all just leg locks. Just apply the braking mechanics in the way that you normally would. But let's look at the actual tap now, because I don't think that there's really much controversy behind this one at all. Okay, so remember I told you earlier that if you're new to jiu-jitsu, you typically get 2 or 3 taps. So whenever we're starting this, it's already in contact, right? So that's 1, and that's 2. And it looks like he's not really trying to defend right now. Okay, so that's 2 taps on the shin. He could have, I guess, tried to get under his heel to try to clear the leg. Doesn't look like he's doing that. He's hipping all the way in, so he's extending his hips all the way in, trying to put a lot of pressure here on the ankle. He tried to act like he didn't tap out afterwards, but everybody pretty much knew. There was a lot less controversy about this one than there was about the Bodoni tap. But if you guys like this, give it a like and subscribe. Tell me if you liked it in the comments. Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you think these were both controversial? What happened? So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.